Hey everyone, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark here from Light at the End of the Funnel. I am your podcast host for this amazing podcast. And today we're going to talk about how to sell with transformation in mind. That's really what we're going to talk about. And there's a lot of different ways to sell. So I know a ton of salespeople. I work with a lot of sales coaches, and here's the thing I love about sales is that it really is about the person who's selling and how they sell best, and what they've learned over the years. Experience is a really big deal when it comes to sales, and also I think emotional intelligence is a really big deal when it comes to sales. And the reason why I wanted to talk about sales and transformation and how those two are involved is that there's a lot of people who are in the work of transformation, right? So they're in the work of transformation. A lot of people don't see themselves as a good salesperson. In fact, what I've noticed from a lot of my consultants and a lot of my coaches is that they feel like sales is just not their thing, right? It's just not where they shine. It's just something that seems really impossible for to do. Um, and even some of them think that actually, whenever I try to sell, I feel really gross and greasy and all the things, right? So, so the first thing I want to say is that actually, I, I felt like that too with sales. I thought I was really bad at sales. Um, I really have this idea that I need to be of service, and so of service means that I can't be salesy and all the things, and it just never felt right when I was taught how to do sales, and to go for sales the way that I was taught, and I get that, and like I just completely understand if that's how you're feeling about sales right now. I completely understand where you're at, how why you feel that way, and how that can be a big thing that holds you back from making more sales. I mean, because sales is definitely the lifeblood of scaling and growing your business. You need to have sales, right? And so here's what I want to do for those listeners that, I mean, you could be a salesperson and you want a different perspective. Great. You could be doing sales and it's just you do well, but you hate it. And, we can work on that too. And then for those of you who are like, I'm terrible at sales, I want to learn how to do sales in a way that feels good, where I'm just not feeling so constricted whenever I have to do that. So this is for you too. And really, when I think of sales, I think a lot of it as very similar to the entrepreneurial journey, where we're transforming. So if we're transforming and leveling up in our business, that means our sales are transforming and leveling up too. They all go together. So instead of looking at sales as something that I just have to do it and just have to suck it up, and I guess I'll just sell and feel gross and greasy during the process. I mean, I don't want you guys to feel gross when you're trying to sell. Let me help you guys. So let me give you guys some really good ways to do sales that gets to feel good for you. You get to feel good about your sales, not just when you make them, but in the process of sales. So uh, it's really uh, it's really all about how you best sell and how you best relate to people. So this is what I tell everybody based on where they're at. The first thing I do is I ask really good questions, like, well, first and foremost, are you selling your programs? It's a yes or no. And sometimes it's a little bit. And that all counts. So it's a yes, you're selling your programs. Great. So if you're selling your programs, then you've really identified a couple of key points, which is that you have a solution that people need and they're willing to buy. So that's usually the first thing. So we're going to start there. So let's just assume that everyone that's listening is a yes. Yes, I have people that are buying this program. I mean, give yourself some credit if you're like, I don't even know how I did it, but somebody bought this. You did something right. So you don't have to absolutely need to know how you did it. Just know that you have a solution that people want to buy. So that's the first step. So if we're a yes on that, then moving forward, this is what we're going to talk about. So I want you guys to start thinking about your sales in a different way, in that sales isn't about you making the sale, right? It's really not. It's not about you making the sales at all. What it is about is it's about identifying the key points within your solution that your ideal client absolutely needs and they're willing to spend money on it. That's what it's about. It's about your client, it's about your prospect. It's about what their needs are and how you've identified that you solve those needs. So that's the second step. So what's a really good example? So I have all these different coaches that I work with. I work with accountants. I work with cybersecurity people. I work with people who have manufacturing firms. I mean, this is just industry. It doesn't matter which industry, and you guys all have a solution that your ideal client is ready and willing to buy, right? So being able to identify that is the next big piece. But before that, you really need to identify your ideal client and what their needs are. And sometimes we can make the mistake, especially when we are very close to our program and product. Now, I've certainly made this mistake dozens, if not multiple dozens of times over and over again until I get it. And that is that when I think I know what they need, and sometimes what I think I know they need isn't what they think they know that they need. And it's not the thing that's really top of mind for them. So, what do you do in those scenarios if you're not sure? Well, the first thing you can do is you can just ask them. So let's just say that you are on um, a discovery call or a sales call, and you're having a conversation with somebody who came in. So one of the first things you want to know is like, I'm so glad that we're on this call. Why did you come in? Or you need to know that information before. And, hopefully they came in because they're like, well, I saw that you have the solution. I was curious to learn more. Great. Maybe you guys are on a networking call. They could even come in like, oh, I just wanted to see how we could support and collaborate. Great. That's all really good information that we can use. So based on that information, then you can move to the next step, right? And the next step could be that okay, they came on to do A, B, and C. Let's see what else that they need. Or great, let's just understand them a little bit more and be clear on it. And so then comes the questions of, that's great. I'm glad you're on the phone and that we're talking or on a Zoom call and we're talking about this. And so when you are asking questions, really find out what is like the top of mind thing going on for them. And some people call this problems and challenges. But here's where I like to flip this a little bit first is like, well, you mentioned this. What is it that what you really want when it comes to A, B, and C? I want to know what they really want. I don't necessarily need to know what they think their pain points are. Um, I don't need to ask what their pain points are. I need to know what it is that they want. And the answers there may surprise you because if you ask somebody what they really want on a sales call, it may not be what you think. So if you're thinking that what somebody is really on the sales call for, let's just say you're a lead generation service, and what they come on for the call is to learn more about your lead generation service, you can actually most likely will think, well, they need leads. They need more leads. Why do they need more leads? That's usually my question. I'm like, well, that's great. You need more leads. You can get leads anywhere. Why do you want more leads? And so that's where the really good information is. And some people will go all the way like 3 layers down to what it is that they really want, which is usually where I go. So I love it when they do that for me because then I don't have to ask more questions. Like, oh, great, we're on the same page. Or they'll just go one layer down, which is like, well, I want more leads so I can make more sales. Great. Why do you want more sales? Well, I want more sales so that I can um, increase what I pay myself. Great. Why do you want to increase what you can pay yourself? Because I'd actually like to retire someday and go on vacation before I die. Well, that's really great. Great. I can totally understand that. So let's start with the last one and let's work our way up. So you'd like to go on vacation. What do you feel is keeping you from going on vacation? Well, not having the extra income, not having the extra time. Um, to go on vacation because I'm working. My business is running my life. Oh, so we just identified another problem, right? So it's this kind of questioning. I like to go another layer deep. What is it really? And and sometimes I can even ask the question of like, well, it sounds like you're working a lot, and not playing a lot. Is this really what you had intended when you first decided to create this business? Well, no, most of the people are not like, "Oh, I just live to work. This is great. I just live for my business." Most people will say um, things like, I wanted to I wanted to create an impact or a legacy." So I love it when people say that because I completely understand. That's usually where I come from, that space too. Um, they may even say that. I just wanted to provide for my family. And this was a really great way of doing that. Some people say, well, I left corporate and so I wanted to build something that was my own. I just didn't know it was going to own me. So that's another thing too, right? So just kind of understanding people, and this doesn't have to take long. This is just like a conversation back and forth. But once you understand exactly what's going on, then you can start putting the pieces together. And it really does help to have like a nice handy notebook, or I think people don't mind you writing as much on sales calls. I usually will choose my audience based on you know what my gut instincts are telling me. So sometimes I'll write and sometimes I type, and usually I won't type if I feel like it'll be a distraction. So um then I'll just write because it's not as distracting when I write, even though I'm going to start doing it right here. So let's just say that we have a lot of information just based on the really good questions, right? I ask really good questions, and I do this naturally because I'm naturally curious, or as some people like to say, nosy. Maybe I'm just nosy, but I do it because I want to help. I really want to understand people. I want to understand where they're coming from. I want to understand what their needs are or what they think their needs are, and then getting in a little bit deeper to see how deep those needs really are. So let's stick with the lead generation service, and this is something that we do as well. So it's a little bit easier for me to explain it this way. So if I have somebody who says that they're coming on to learn about how to get more leads, how to get more aligned leads, they're basically, and they go as deep as, well, it would be really, I want to have more clients. I want to make more money. I want to hire people so that they can take over some of this stuff. And so I can actually get a vacation. So I mean, that's really great, right? Those are some big things. So big changes in in their business with just this piece of getting more leads in. So I can work with that. And the next question that I ask, and it's just because I'm in marketing too, so this may not work for everybody, but take the context of it. The next thing I'll ask is like, that's great. Have you ever hired a marketing firm to get you leads before, or what are some of the things that you've done to get leads before? So I want to know what it is that they've done, in order to hit that goal that they have, which is it's really to increase their sales so that they can have more freedom in their life, is what I'm hearing. Um, that's just one scenario, too. There's lots of scenarios. And so then they'll tell me, well, I hired this other agency. So sometimes they'll hire another agency, and it won't go as well, or they wouldn't have gotten aligned leads. And so they'll usually go, hopefully they don't go down the rabbit hole too much, but even if they do, it's okay. It's all good information. So that could be an answer. Another answer could be, well, I've been doing a lot of networking. And so I've heard that as well too. Doing a lot of networking. How's that working out for you? Well, it's where I'm getting most of my leads, but it's very time consuming. So networking equals time consuming, right? It also means that, and I can ask them like, well, do you go out places to go networking, or do you do it all online? And most people will say, now that we're in 2023, they'll say something in regards to, um, I'm going out and I'm doing online. So it'll be a combination of both. So I'll write down that it's a combination of both. They're doing both. And so I'm like, okay, so that sounds like you've gotten a couple things that are bringing you in leads. And and the reason that you're on this call, and I'm just going to pair what you said, is that you want more leads. And I'm also hearing that you may want, um I don't want to say better leads, but I'm more aligned leads to what it is that you're offering. Is that correct? They'll say yes or no. And if they say no, it's usually, well, actually, I'm going to go into a different direction. So I'm actually going to be needing to get these types of leads, which is different than the leads that I've gotten in before. Okay, great. So new leads, new vertical, or new traffic source, something like that. So new leads, new vertical, or traffic sources, like they need to come in from a different place. Um, Okay. So I've got all that information and I'm just writing this down as I go because it's just habit at this point. So once I know all of this information, then I can actually assess. I mean, and really a sales call, yes, it's about them. But the other piece is it's also to make sure that a relationship with these guys would be a good fit for what it is that you offer. So if you're looking at this and if you're being um, very bird's eye view, is this the type of client that you can help best? And I always look at it that way. Can I help them? Am I the person to help them? And it'll be a yes or no. So once I ask these questions, I'll have either a I'm not the one, or Yes, I've got what they need. And once I've assessed the yes, I mean, then if it's no, then it's like, well, you know what? I think what your needs are very specific and it's not quite our sweet spot. But I do have other people that this is their sweet spot. Would you like an introduction? And that just means that I've done really good networking and I do have those people. So this is why it's okay to talk to your competitors, by the way. You want that Rolodex of people that could also serve um, potential prospects that you can't serve the best. So, yes or no? No means you can send them to somebody who's more aligned. Yes means that you're gonna continue forward with the sales call, right? So here we are in the yes. Yes, this is a really good match. So what are the next steps? Well, the next steps are pretty easy. This is and I'll give you guys a quick story of how I came up with this. Um, but I have this formula. It's HBT. HBT. How about that? And the reason why it's like, how about that? Is because I used to think I was a bad salesperson, right? And I told you guys that at the beginning, and that, man, I just don't think I'm really good at sales. Well, when I started to do these things, I started to get sales, and they started to come in pretty effortlessly after that. And sales calls became much easier. And so I had that moment of clarity of like, huh, wow, I'm closing like 8 out of 10. I'm like at an 80% close rate on lukewarm leads. How about that? And it was that like, how about that? And that's because I didn't know I was good. I didn't know I was good at sales. And I'm actually really good at sales, especially when I have aligned clients or prospects on a call. So, this is my how about that formula. And so, this is the focus. We ask the questions so that we can really understand. And I do this backwards because I like to do things backwards. But I like to start with what is it that really needs to transform for this person to feel whole as a business owner, as a wife, as a husband, as an individual. What is it that how do they need to feel whole? What's the transformation for them? And you can see with my questions, I really do understand. Like, well, they need more leads because they need more sales so that they can hire the right people to come into their company, and give them a break once in a while. That would completely probably shift their entire life. So I have this way of asking those questions so I can really understand. And really there's four things that I'm looking for, and I use this in copywriting, but I also use it in my sales. The four things that I'm looking for in terms of transformation is I'm looking how can I make these guys more money? How can I save them money? How can I save them time? How can I save their life? If I hit all four of those, awesome. And I understand what it is that they're looking for in this transformation, and I can hit all four of those, great. But I really just need one. So if I was to say with this individual who really just wants to take a vacation, maybe even just once a year, or just they really need to accelerate their growth in sales so that they can start bringing in team members to take things off their plate. It's going to change. Yes, it's going to make them money, right? But what they're really looking for is that change in their life so they can have the business, and not just have the business own them. That's what they're looking for. So I know those things. And so I'll usually choose three, three things. Like, how is this going to change their life, make them money, just depending on where their focus is, save them time, and save them money. So it'll do all those things. It will make them more money. Leads will equal more sales will equal more money. So we'll do that. So what's the other thing? Is it going to save them money? Well, if they work with us, yeah, we'll save them money rather than them going and working with an agency and not getting the right leads because we really know how to zero in on those ideal clients. So we're going to save them money with them working with us, of course. And then saving time. I mean, instead of them trying to go out to all these networking events in person or networking online, they can have a system in place to bring in those aligned leads and they can do it on autopilot. So that's another offering that we have. Great. So we're going to save them a ton of time, not only with our systems and processes, but we're going to save them a ton of time in having them make enough money to get more team members in to help them with this. And so if we can save them time, then their whole life changes, right? So I've got all four of those things down. So that's the T. That's the transformation in my HBT formula. And so I work backwards and like, okay, great. So what are the benefits of this? And I've already told you guys some of the benefits of it. Like, well, they make more if they have more leads, they make more money, right? So having more leads that are aligned leads, it's going to bring more people into your sales pipeline. So more people in sales pipeline, so more people, more the right people in sales pipeline. So that's one of the benefits. What's another benefit? Um, more time to work on your business than in your business, right? And then another one is it's just because of what they said. And another one could be another benefit could be, well, so more time to work on their business and in their business is that another benefit is that they're going to be able to bring in key players with all the money that they're making, right? Key players to take over some of the business stuff. So those could be three ones. There's better ones, of course. You can always mix and match just based on what people are telling you on these calls. But now I have my benefits. So, okay, what's the first thing? What's the H? The H is the highlights. What are the big highlights? That this is the stuff that's top of mind. So when you first ask them what they want, that's basically top of mind for them. So that's what your highlights need to be. So based on the conversation, the highlights are definitely, well, I need more aligned leads. And I usually will pull from what is it that they tried that didn't work for them. So what they tried was is that they tried to work with an agency, but they didn't get the right leads. So we're going to get them the right leads. What else is the thing that they need? Well, they're really looking to save time. They really want someone to take over. And what does that mean that they need? They need a system. They need a system. They don't want to have to question. They want a system in place. They want a system that works for them that can be put right into their business and an SOP. So then they can bring in someone to kind of take over even this system if they want to. So they really need a lead generation system that's a rinse and repeat and something that can be teachable, right? So they need a system. So align leads, a system for um, sales for an increase in accelerated sales. Um, accelerated is always a really good word to use because that means they get to go faster. And if they're trying to save time, then going faster makes a lot of sense. So they need aligned leads. They need a system for sales with these leads. And then what's the other thing that they need? So, I mean, they think they need more sales. They need more leads to make more sales. They have systems for these sales. So if I'm really looking at this, is that they really one of the other big benefits is that they're going to be able to use that system um, to scale. So scalable business. It's something that they didn't say, but they're really looking to scale. And the reason that they're looking to scale is because they said they wanted more sales and more sales. And then a system means that it's something that's more of a more grow into a scale, and a scale means that once you have it, then it's a rinse and repeat. So they're looking for something that is scalable. So they're going to be able to scale their business, and that's going to be one of the big highlights. So this is what I have. They're going to have aligned leads. They're going to have a system for their sales so they can pass it off. So that's going to be huge for them. And they're also going to have a business that can scale where they didn't before. So I have highlights here, I have benefits here, and then I have the transformation. Like, what is this actually going to do? So I have all that information that's within my solution that I offer them. So when I talk about my solution after I've gathered information, I'm like, okay, well, here's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like what you're really looking for is a lead generation service that gets you not just leads, but align leads. Align leads meaning that these are people that really need your solutions. You would love for this to be more systematized so that eventually you can get other people to come in and replace you in your marketing and sales process. And then with all those pieces, you are also looking to scale your business. So more leads, a system, more sales. So you're really looking for a scalable sales, right? Or scaling your business with these sales. And so am I getting that right? And I'll usually ask, I'm like, am I getting that correct? Or is it anything else? And so I'll leave it open for them to say, yeah, that's about right. Probably one more thing. And maybe they'll add in a thing. I'm like, great. So I've got all of my highlights. Awesome. Now, what's the next piece? Well, the next piece is the time like, okay, well, I mean, what we do, it actually has all those pieces in it that you're looking for. And then we also have the benefits here. So the reason why I'm hearing that you want all these is because you're looking for A, B, and C for your benefits. And so again, it's that feedback loop. Either it's a yes or no. And the thing that you're really looking for too isn't like it could be yes, you're correct. It's just like yes, and so they'll add in more, and then you can pare back all that information that they give you. I'm like, okay, and it may be that well, it does this. That's not necessarily a benefit that we do, but it could be a byproduct. So sometimes it's not as much of a benefit; it is a byproduct of this, of what it is that we're going to do for you. And once we go through the benefits, then I'm just like, okay, so here's the thing. So when you have these are the big highlights. These are some of the benefits that you're going to get. There's much more. There's byproducts of these benefits. Um, and and I think this is going to get you what you really want. And some of the things that I heard that you said that you really want is that you want to take a vacation. Well, because of how we've set up um, our systems and what we're teaching you guys and what we're implementing for you, you're going to be able to do that. You're also going to be able to save a lot of time because now not going to have to guess anymore about what works or who those ideal clients are or how they're coming in because we're going to be doing that and we're going to be doing that on autopilot. And so we're going to save you a lot of time. And of course, it's more leads equals more sales. So you're going to make a lot more money. So all these things are going to work to your advantage. And so it's kind of that piece where you take them through that process and you can shorten it however you want. I like to explain it a little bit more just so everybody's on the same page and understands. But that's how we do some transformational sales. We actually acknowledge the transformation that's going to happen for them in the sales process. So that is my HBT. How about that formula? How about that? I actually can be pretty good at sales. I actually can be good at closing sales. It's when I really focus in on the transformation it's going to have for that brand, that company, that group, or that individual business owner. And that when I focus there and I ask really good questions, that's when I can really start seeing not only just the sales coming in, but more aligned leads for even my company come in. And I don't have to worry, and I haven't had to worry about having a greasy feeling after a sales conversation because the way that I intended to run the sales call is exactly how I ran it. And I made it customer client focused first in adding in what's the big transformation for them. So I hope that helps, guys. A little bit of a longer podcast, but I wanted to walk you guys through that formula because I think it can be really useful if you have been wondering how to do sales and understanding that, does it have to take a longer conversation? Well, it just depends. It depends on, um, how you're bringing in those leads. It depends on how long you've actually scheduled the call for. It depends on how much your solution costs too, because if it's a more costly solution, meaning a higher ticket, then you may want to spend a little bit longer on the sales call. Not just, yes, for them as well, but also for you for that filtering process, because you don't want to sell a high ticket program, product, service to somebody that either doesn't know that they need it, doesn't understand what it is, or is just not the right ideal client for what it is you offer, because that can end up being something you feel really gross and greasy about selling them down the road, right? Okay, guys. So that is this podcast episode. If you guys wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to share this. I'd love for you to go and subscribe on iTunes and Spotify as well, because that does help us in our rankings, which gets us out there to even more people. So spread the joy and the love of this podcast episode if you loved it yourself. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.